Yo, what's up, chat? So, a little review about the Pathfinder ever since it got a little update. So, as you can see now, you can sort of pathfind to everywhere perfectly. There is an issue. Oh, I guess it didn't happen this time. There's a little issue, but it's just a bit of balancing, not a big deal. Where it basically, once it does a jump, it like does it again. Not a problem. Just need to take another look at that, clean it up a little bit. Simple stuff. But as you can see, it works perfectly fine. This is the player that I have disabled the gravity of. So I can just sort of drag it and put it anywhere to test the Pathfinder. Um, yeah, it really works in every possible way. I think I should show this again because this was the most interesting part. Basically, it can jump over spikes and it avoids spikes, basically. It does not consider itself able to walk on the spikes. Here is another example. See, it cannot pathfind to the player here. But if we put the player on the ground, now we can. Now, here's an interesting thing I've added. Oh, why is this? Oh, it just took a bit of time. Yes, so an interesting thing I've added is, let's say I put the player here, resume the game, and pause again. Let's say we're in an unreachable position, as you can see here. We have several options here. We can chase the last known position of the player before they became unreachable, which is, here. And then there is a timer that detects if the player is stuck or not. And that timer starts ticking when the player is unreachable. Like we're still kited, we're still within the red circle or the purple circle. And the enemy has the ability to see through the walls. I believe that it's here somewhere. Yeah, it can detect through walls and stay kited through the walls. So its detection is the red circle, and its kited range is the purple or magenta circle. So this is where it can detect, and until here, it can follow the player. So yeah, I kind of gave it a massive range for testing purposes, but also that detects through wall might not seem logical for certain enemies. But if you want to have like a hound that can like sniff the player, detecting through walls can kind of create that effect nicely. So that's why I have it. And because of that, we can detect the player even when they're here. But then the Pathfinder sees that, there's no way for us to get into this box here. If we go to the manager and display the graph, let's display jump and walk connections only. So as you can see, there are walk connections here. There is a node that, the Pathfinder can detect. But as you can see from these two nodes, we can't really connect anywhere. So what happens is, well, that depends on these options. If we chase the last known position, we will start chasing here. But there's as I mentioned, a timer that ticks when we can't reach the player like this. And that is the stuck timer. Now, what this does is it lets the enemy or the pathfinding agent continue to the last known position before that timer starts ticking. So I believe the timer is 3 seconds, and let's move this guy back a little bit. And as you can see now, it's gonna finish that path. But if we bring it back and let it regenerate the path towards the player, I don't know if it did. Maybe it did. Who knows? Let's see. And we uncheck this. It's gonna start the 3 second timer regardless. Oh, it did not rekite. Hold on, you guys. This is not good. Okay, there we go. It rekited. So basically, the reason it took that long is also another feature where you can change the, what's the word? The frequency of how often the path updates. Currently, I've set it to 0.1 seconds, but if we're stuck, that means it takes, I believe, 1.6 seconds. So that's why it took quite a while. The reason I added that feature is because if you're stuck, then I mean the enemies can't really reach you. They should keep trying. Maybe you are, maybe you exit somehow. But the reason we don't let them try that often is because it's often very unlikely that you're actually going to be reachable again. This is going to be when you teleport to a dungeon or go through a door. So, what having a much less frequent path update allows us to do here is save on performance, because the pathfinding calls, I wouldn't say they're expensive. They also have a bunch of safeguards that make their performance much lower, but still a nice way to save, especially if you're going to have a large game with many of these enemies. Anywho, now we're back stuck again, and we don't have this checked. So what happens now is, I mean, oh yeah, there we go. We are no longer kited because we gave up on the enemy, on the player. I mean, so it's not trying to go to the last node position anymore. It just can give up before that. So that's kind of a nice feature, isn't it? And let's try again. Now, as you can see, it's generated a path and it wants to go to the last node position. But if we uncheck this, it won't even try. Technical error. That's quite strange. That is quite strange indeed. Let's try that again. Well, that is funny, isn't it? Chase last known position does not work. Okay, small break, I guess. Okay, so we're back at it again, and it should be fixed now. I have put the player here to generate the path toward the player and to update the last known position. But as you can see, chase last known position is unchecked. So if we do this, yep, there we go. It works now. So this is kind of also what the chase last known position is kind of what decides for this. So if we don't chase, then we get sort of stuck. Well, not stuck immediately, but we start counting that we're stuck immediately after. And yeah. Now, once we're stuck and give up, we have the chance to go back to our spawn position. Now, I've done all of these tests by keeping the player within range of the enemy rather than taking them out. The reason for that is if we're out of range, the enemy will head back to the spawn position. But if you have this option here, linger if kited checked, what it does is the enemy will actually stay where it sort of gave up and wait for the player if it can kite onto them again and then potentially continue from there rather than going back to spawn and then potentially losing out on a chase. So it kind of just makes the enemy um, what's the word? It makes the enemy more stubborn. So if I uncheck this, I believe it takes 2.5 seconds, and the enemy will start heading back to its spawn position. I think that was a little quick, but hey, it works. And from there, it just kites and whatever. Now, if we take the player, actually, I don't know why I paused the game. If we take the player out now, as you can see, it can kite to it again perfectly. And yeah, these options, you can mix them and do however you want. And obviously, if you um, uncheck the go back to spawn, holy shit, this mouse is extremely laggy and useless. If you uncheck this, it's gonna still finish the path because we have, wait till reach end to stock checked. Oh, I think that bug that I was talking about before just happened also. Also, not a big deal. As you can see now, it does not head back to its home position. But the moment we check this, it will start going back. Now, maybe the timer for going back should not be incremented if this is unchecked. But honestly, I don't. These are not really. They can be changed dynamically during playtime, but they're not really sort of designed with that in mind. Um, there's one last thing to show off here, and there's if we do this, as you can see, it's sort of just following the path. It's not regenerating it. So if something knocks the enemy back, say we get knocked here for whatever reason, it kind of just gets stuck, which happens in other 2D games I have played. Well, actually, not that it happens, but I think it's they don't go back to their home position. No, I don't know. I honestly I think they worked fine in those games. I don't know what I'm on about. But point is, you can check this, and the only reason I give this as an option really is just also to save on performance if you'd like, because maybe some games, because I'm making this or I'm hoping to make this as an asset as well that other developers can use. So maybe if you have a game where enemies simply don't get knocked, you don't need to waste performance updating the path, but you have the option to allow the path to be updated even when we're heading towards the last node position. So just one click, and there we go. It works, and now it's going to start heading back to its. Yep, there we go. So you have all of these 5 options, and they're all sort of work with each other. And I know these like are small details, or they seem so to the average Joe. That's a rhyme, by the way. I'm entering flow state here. But what I'm trying to say is it's sort of a really nice detail, and I feel like it adds a lot more life to the game when you have enemies that are this dynamic even in small things that the player might not even see. Maybe some other player around the map might see, but it's very nice. It could sort of give enemies a personality. Like this enemy can or this hound can sniff you through the wall, and you know how wild dogs can be. They can be stubborn. So he lingers. If you're still kited, he won't go back to home position. Or if you have maybe like a, I was about to say chill enemy. I can't really think of a good example here. Like maybe some like unintelligent monster. You can just make it immediately give up chasing if you're unkited and just stand there, not even go back to home position. Or maybe you have a sort of a robot type enemy that's like programmed to chase the player and then programmed to go back to its home position to like keep guarding. So yeah, if you have a sort of guard and you place them at a certain position, you want them to go back to spawn. That could also work. The enemy spawns here, by the way. When they spawn in, that's when they save in their spawn position. So yeah, it's really nice to have such dynamic enemies. There is another feature with retreat and stuff, but I feel like this video has become long enough. I doubt anyone would watch till the end. If you're actually still watching here till this point, let me know. I'll give you a cookie from Subway. I'll mail it to you. Anyways, that's about it.